Ted Bundy, what's so odd, so strange, right, is for me to sit right here on camera and say slander of Ted Bundy, right? I'm saying there's in fact fans out here of Ted Bundy's. Did you know that sort of thing? They would in fact possibly call me out. You don't know, or try to hang me and all the rest, as in them taking up for even him, as in they like what he does and yet I don't, right? That's a failure mindset. Nobody wants to see nobody killing people off for no reason, right? But yes, like, subscribe, ID in the Discovery channel. Yes, ID in the Discovery channel. The links are provided below. Get that Discovery Go app as well as that ID Go app. You might in fact want to combine those two things together, despite them being, yes, two different brands and yet one of the same, right? Somewhat. Flattery. But yeah, that's got to be the most oddest, strangest thing to say. See an individual such as me sitting here working for Discovery, in which I do a brown-faced figure, talking about a Ted Bundy. There's white folks that don't like that sort of thing, right? They feel like I'm putting theirs down. There people on their end, such as a Ted Bundy, they feel like I'm putting him down, and yet I should, because even I, pertaining to the Atlanta child murderer, one and the same, right? Say over 28 or 30 victims of even that man. I'm gonna speak even about him being black, the black individual that took the time to murder men, women, and children. The Atlanta child murderers. Look it up. I'm saying I don't pick or choose sides. I slander as I choose, and not depending on the race. Hell no. That's for retards. It is. But yeah, I don't agree with that sort of thing, because children in fact be involved in that. So yes. So let me ask this, Seaman. I'm in fact left-handed myself. I just want to ask a few random weird odd questions, because I'm an oddball. Hollywood at that, right? So are killers born left-handed? Are killers born left-handed? Are serial killers born left-handed? Even mass murderers, are they born left-handed? Does being left-handed have an effect on whether someone will become a serial killer or not? Ted Bundy was in fact a left-handed individual, right? Hell, Obama was even left-handed. Oprah herself is in fact left-handed, for those of y'all that don't know. Yes, there's in fact lefties all amongst us and here in society, right? That's why I chose to ask that sort of question. Obama is in fact left-handed, as well as Oprah Winfrey is in fact left-handed. So I just threw an odd question in, right? That's a left stroke from my end to yours. Shouts out to the lefties. But yeah, that he was in fact left-handed, right? And people might in fact feel, well, maybe him being left-handed, could have in fact had an effect, because even that's brain operation. Let me see. To be left-handed is to know what? You use the right side of your brain. It's the reverse. It's the opposite. Depending on what hand you use, is to say that's what side of the brain is in fact. Yes, with that. Something like that. So if I use my right hand, is that using my left side of my brain? And if I use my left hand, no. That's not right. That's the opposite. But you get my drift on what I'm saying, because even sciences are even up underneath that. Ask a neurosurgeon. They will tell you about that sort of thing. The strategy and the technique, right? So, Ted Bundy, in fact, had a career in serial killing. Yes, he, in fact, owned and operated from his own in a level, keeping it a business of. His career was, in fact, a serial killer. That was the title of his career. That's all I'm saying, right? So he was a rapist, a kidnapper. He was deep into necrophilia, right? And he died by ways of the electric chair in Florida. Florida is let me tell you, Florida, I done been to Florida numerous times, and let me tell you, it's a lot of whack jobs that live down in Florida. Check Florida news. In fact, there's in fact, yes, news agencies and all the rest that in fact are gifted enough to even point the direction of saying them, yes, focusing on Florida itself as a whole more so than their even local news. Yes, even their own local news. because there's something about oddness in the water of Florida. I don't know what it is, but it'd be like a lot of crazy things going on in the news, as in it could be found. But yeah, Ted Bundy, look him up, as in even where he may or may not have been from. Florida may not have been the case. That just might have been the place where he was sent, right? I'll let you, the viewer, do the research on that. I just speak, right? And so each and every serial killer possess they in fact possess odd and rather strange behaviors away from the norm. I in fact do, and yet I'm not a serial killer, right? But those odd and rather strange behaviors make each one unique, even in the form of fashion of leaking blood all over the place. Ted Bundy being one of those individuals. He killed over 100 women and a man, stated by Bundy's attorney, John Henry Brown. So that number, it was a much more, the percentile in the realm of him killing and murdering people. And the news was more likely, in fact, a lie. He killed more people. Go ask his attorney, John Henry Brown. He would, in fact, know. He represented the man when it was stated that the number was, in fact, much lower, right? No, that's not the truth. He killed well over 100 women and men. Yeah. See, if you're not able to dig much more deeper on the research, you would never even know, as in the facts are there, as in what awaits you. Some people take time, some people don't even take enough time to read, to try to see and know. Because see, I said that before, the news can portray light on a story or whatnot, and yet they don't fully fill in the holes, as in the other information, which sometimes people feel like there's misinformation in the news. And yet you, the viewer, should always, study up more. But yes, Bundy was molested. Was he or was he not? That's questionable. I'm saying it's been stated on one end and then not stated on the other end, as in the hush and the quiet with that sort of thing, if it took place. I'm not saying that's a fact. No, it's questionable, right? Oh, yeah. So what's so odd about Ted Bundy? The thing that draw you in was the fact that even he was a handsome guy. Pretty privilege, in fact, exists in American society, and yet for him it wasn't. Ted Bundy was, in fact, a very handsome guy, right? That's what's so odd and strange and deep with that sort of thing. That, too, is how he got over on his victims. Because, see, sometimes to sit and make excuses for very pretty, handsome individuals is to say more than likely you more than likely would become one of those killers' victims with that. There was all type of women of all kind that made excuses, and even them not knowing, they more than likely was looking at him like, oh, he's handsome. Yes, he was, right? But people, after he killed the individuals in which he did in the most tragic way, right, it was still individuals making excuses for him. That's why I said in the opening about how people feel, well, you're brown and you have no right to slander a Ted Bundy. Yes, I do, right? Those individuals, many of them was making excuses for this man just based upon his looks. Well, I don't think that he could have did that sort of thing, despite it being all over the news, because look how handsome he was. Or when he was alive is. Way back in the day, during that time when all took place. There's all type of interviews you can in fact gain access to that sort of thing, as in what I seen with my own two eyes, how Lane Fox was like, well, he was too handsome, there was no way he could have did that. Well, think, sense, and believe what you will, and yet you might have, yes, once died to even the hands of even that, your excuse by him. That's what that does. I'm saying, didn't I speak about this pertaining to how sometimes I don't trust charming individuals, whether male or female? Because even Ted Bundy was in fact a highly charming, as in he didn't lack charisma. It was all the way there, which is how he got over on his innocent victims as well. He used his charm, but more so than anything, he used his good looks to get over on his victims, right? But charm more than anything in that charisma. Those type of people I don't stand next to for too long, because I know there's much more up underneath that. Sometimes those people can in fact be evil and bitter, and yet they fail to show you, and that's how people in fact end up dead. That's why I like to show even how I can be angry and bitter, as in me speaking it and not just walking around being all charming. Trust and believe, I'm sure there's all type of serial killers around us that act charming and good nature with even that all the time, 24 hours a day, even in manipulating people with that and then killing them, and then you got a whole bunch of unsolved mysteries. Yes, charm and charisma does that with the good looks. I don't make excuses for nobody, let me tell you. So yes, remember, even he was stated to be normal. That's how they view him, because of that charm and that charisma and the good looks, right? He was stated to be normal, and yet again, what is normal? I ask even society as a whole. That's why I choose to be different, right? But I'm wondering, what is in fact normal? What is that? Because see, normal people, let me push Ted Bundy to the side. Normal people, in fact, hide all the real them, right? They in fact do, to appear and come across to people in the public as normal. I choose not to do that sort of thing, right? So let's drag him back over here. Dear Ted Bundy, wake up. So, yeah, I said that. The charm and the charisma, he used that to persuade and manipulate out into the world. So, with me saying that, who could be just like Ted Bundy right now amongst us in the atmosphere? Who in fact is out in the atmosphere carrying themselves in the same type of way, fashion, but not completely representing themselves to be all charmful in nature and full of charisma? Yes. Who could be like him in that way, just enough to get over on some women, possibly men and children, even luring children and killing them in the process? Because that's what charm and charisma does. Even in selling, there's people out here, even because even Ted Bundy was a celebrity, but there's even celebrities, sometimes many of them, that use charm and charisma to get over on their fans. They in fact get over on their fans with that sort of thing, the charisma and the charm, and yet behind the scenes they're nothing like that. They're mean, cold, and evil people, and yet you just can't see it. That's not real. That's in fact fake. But yeah, so Ted Bundy, there's got to be more people out in this world, because there's too many unsolved and unresolved cases pertaining to murders and mayhem with that, right? It's possibly people putting on fake faces, let me tell you. So yeah, when it comes to his history before all this took place in relation to the serial killer career of Ted Bundy and all his innocent victims, there's a past and everything, as in a reason why in due tell, from my end to his, even stepping to his grave from right here going in. A lost love. So could a hatred and resentment of, say, a failed love on Ted Bundy's end, could that sort of thing have caused his victims to suffer? Ted Bundy having a relationship with a woman that didn't want him, and then a resentment and bitterness fueling murder. Let me tell you why. Okay, so Bundy in fact, let me see. Hold on. He was in fact murdering individuals that look similar, if not completely or somewhat, to the ex that no longer wanted to be with him. I paused. Why did I pause? You asking? The viewer, you're asking why I paused like that? Because I'm looking at the electric chair. Some of my notes is off to the right, and that's supposed to be way at the bottom and not right where it stands. That's why the electric chair, right? But yeah, so this is for the younger generation that don't know too much about Ted Bundy. Everybody else is wise enough to know, my generation and those before, right? But not too many people, the young ones, know about Ted Bundy. That's why I'm telling his story, right? But yeah, so he fell in love with a classmate. at University of Washington, to be precise. The pair were engaged in 1973. It stated the majority, yes, I said that, the majority of his victims looked very similar to Stephanie. Stephanie was in fact her name. The victims, in fact, looked just like Stephanie. They were female. They were white. They were ages 15 to 25 from middle class backgrounds. Each female had long, straight brown hair with a part in the middle, just like the woman who left him. Just like the woman that left Bundy by the name of Stephanie. Every victim looked like her, just like her. That's sad and sick in itself. Even with the part. Long straight hair with the part in the middle, just like Stephanie. Was it that serious? Some people can't take heartbreak like that, the broken love, as in they'll go and create some victims out of even that, and yet not kill Stephanie, which is odd in itself. Did Ted Bundy kill Stephanie, or did he not? Was she still living? Is she still on earth today, seeming that happened so long ago? I'm just wondering, why didn't Bundy just kill her? You know how some people, in fact, like the proven fact that he killed over 100 women and a man. I'm wondering why he just didn't take a butcher knife and butcher her up 100 times. Stephanie, instead of just randomly picking and choosing random people, because remember, he had access to her, yes, Stephanie, enough to do that sort of thing. And yet to walk out the four walls of your house and just randomly scoop up random women with the charm approach. To say he was completely a nut job. Cause you bypassed the woman that broke your heart. And yet other people that you didn't even know had to suffer, and not only that, their family had to suffer. That is crazy in itself. That's completely a whack job. Yes, Atlanta child murders involving, yes, with the black individual himself. I was gonna say Huey, and that's not even the name, right? My fault. What? Somebody gonna say something about the Black Panthers. I didn't say none of that just because I got on all black. I'm gonna speak about even that black, yes, the Atlanta child murders, because I don't agree with that either. With even him. I said that already. But the loser effect, that ain't even, tell me that ain't even completely real, and yet it's completely has stalled out, as in it has happened with the lives being taken from Bundy into theirs. I mean, how this man could have went over to Stephanie's house, right, and play arsonist for the night, as in burned down her whole complete house with even that, and possibly took some ammunition with him to blow it up or something, right, and left no paw prints with that sort of thing, in place of just being useless to society and just picking random women. And some of these, that's what's so odd about that sort of thing, and so tragic. Some of these people be just the most innocent people walking up and down the street, daylight and at night, whether daylight savings is involved or not, right? They just be so innocent, then they just get knocked off by somebody by ways of death or via death, right? That's mass corruption in itself. So yeah, Ted Bundy had been known to, yes, do very other odd and strange things, such as rescuing a child that, yes, accidentally fell into some water. Ted Bundy took the time to go rescue him, and yet no victims. I guess he rescued the child because the child was a child. In 1970, yes, in 1970, a 3-year-old fell into Seattle's Green Lake. And after the 3-year-old wandered away from his parents' side, yeah, that's how that in fact took place. The child walking away from his parents and not Bundy snatching him away. The child just roamed off like young children do. And somehow Bundy noticed, wow, 1970? That was a long time ago, right? And so I had to think on that with the analysis. To save a 3-year-old child and yet just be killing innocent victims. That's strange too, because you in fact have serial killers out here like that, where they don't kill kids and yet they kill grown women and men, right? And yet they have a love and admiration, yes, for even children, not molesting them or nothing. Serial killers have been known to sit and play with children and give young children attention and all the rest, and baby them and buy stuff for them and buy gifts and all that other stuff. And then you have baby showers and stuff like that, and some of them serial killers be the most ones, yes, on the list, giving gifts and all the rest to new mommies that are having and throwing baby showers and all that, right? Serial killers have been known to do that sort of thing, right? And yet they kill women and men, and yet many of them don't kill babies or rape or molest babies. No, that's odd. That's strange. It is. So pornography, the pornography effect. Could a deep-rooted infatuation have led to murder and corruption? I've asked, have various things could have led to this man doing the things in which he did, and pornography being one of those things, because even out of his mouth, Ted Bundy, out of the man himself, out of his mouth, he came and stated that pornography was one of the very things that fueled his appetite to kill. Ooh, excuse me. He stated that it fueled his appetite. So I'm asking, could a deep-rooted infatuation, I'm asking if that's really a fact, could that sort of thing have happened? Could a deep-rooted infatuation have led to murder and corruption? Bundy, yes, he did believe so. That's what he felt, sensed, and thought. And yet there's so many people out here that are addicted to pornography, and yet they don't kill. He said his consumption of it and his obsession with pornography led to that sort of thing. But you got all type of individuals out here, young boys and all the rest, and even women and all that are in fact addicted to pornography, and not once do you ever hear and see of them killing. Or maybe they do, and maybe it's done in the dark, right? How they say, well, what's done in the dark comes to the light, maybe, or something. I don't know. And yet for all the unsolved mystery murders and mayhem with that, as I say, well, maybe not completely. I'm just thinking, I'm saying, each brain registers differently. Somebody might see pornography and they might in fact act and react differently to it than, say, a Ted Bundy, is all I'm trying to say. And yet even that's still questionable, because porn and all the rest has existed since the beginning of time, say even as far back as man and woman being here. It just wasn't always completely in video format. No, I'm sure there was Egyptian scrolls or something pinpointing to even sexual manners and matters written out on scrolls and stuff like that, right? And yet was serial killers being made in vain with that way back in ancient Egypt on the scrolls, or say some pornography on scrolls written out and drawn out on scrolls, was people killing people in the form of serial killer. With that what makes you want to, it do in fact make you want to delve much more deeper with that, as in the effect of what porn could have on individuals, because as it's been said and known that video games do have somewhat of an effect on young children, and yet Ted Bundy was a grown man. So maybe his mind converted that in a whole different way than the average individual such as you and I would say in watching porn or something, right? I've been known as a kid to play Mortal Kombat on my brother when he had Sega Genesis way back in the 90s. When I was a kid, I played Mortal Kombat pertaining to the video games and all that, right? And yet when I used to play that, when you would take the sword or something and knock somebody's head off or something, right? That that did not once inspire me to want to go out and kill. And yet I'm thinking many individuals who play video games, like a Mortal Kombat, that could, if they did it for hours on end, that could possibly inspire them to want to go kill. Mortal Kombat is all about killing in the first place. People that play video games. And yet with porn, when you set porn side by side with a video game, it's to ask, would that same thing be there, such as the effect? Watching body sex half the death, and yet no death is there, right? And yet in sex pornography videos, you do have victimization with that, which could be why Ted Bundy was drawn to that, if that's what he was into. BDSM and all that other stuff, tying individuals up, BDSM and all that, right? Which could be the video appetite, where even he might have explored with that, which could have been why the mind was so wicked. And yet still, once again, people that watch BDSM stuff don't even take the time to go kill. I'm thinking in order to be inspired by pornography just enough to go kill, you would have had to watch enough porn like that. Somebody being victimized in the porn, you would have had to watch those videos for hours on end, such as when the sun is being set and then when the sun is being laid to rest, if you get what I'm saying. There had to have been hours on end for even, or because I'm thinking magazine covers ain't gonna, that just don't. Back in the 1970s, let me go back sometime with that to ask even when was Playboy and all the rest, when was that invented? As in, when did that come into play? Was that around the time of Ted Bundy's time period? Just enough to ask, was porn on a video roll? Yes, in film format. Was porn in that type of realm, or was porn itself just in magazines, as in print only? In print. Reading magazines. Playboy and all the rest of all that, right? Just enough to want to kill somebody. Because I'm thinking reading something in print wouldn't really inspire somebody to want to go kill like that, unless it's a story that's a porn that speaks on killing people in the porn. That just don't make sense to me. But that was his mindset, so whatever with that. So, more odd behavior of Ted Bundy. Serial killers catching other serial killers, as in helping the police. That is one thing Ted Bundy himself played a part in, as in Bundy, in fact, yes, he did. He, in fact, helped police, find and arrest another serial killer. That's odd in itself. This serial killer was also known as the Green River Killer. Green River Killer, right? Because Bundy himself, yes, took the time to offer tips to police about the Green River Killer. That's odd in itself. It's funny too. It is. What was the name of the Green River Killer, as in his real name, his identity? His name was Gary Ridgway. Yes, it was. Look it up, right? Bundy was off the hook, right? And so the kidnappings. When it comes to the kidnappings of Ted Bundy's own kidnappings, Bundy loved to use his looks and his charm to gain the trust and admiration of ladies. I stated that in the opening. He would approach them in public places. He would fake disabilities, as in acting like his arm or something was broken, and he would have a cast on and everything. All fake stuff. He would do that to persuade them. I wonder why even he didn't go work for PR. Public relations, the persuasion and that, right? That's off the hook. So yeah, he would approach his victims in public places, faking disabilities. That was in fact to make those women, yes, feel sorry for him. That's why he did that, the faking of the disabilities, right? He would also fake injuries. That too is to get over on their kindness, is why he was doing that, right? Because they would in fact feel sympathy for him, and that's why he did it. He would also impersonate authority figures. The man tried to make even himself into a celebrity with even that. which is why it all ended with him being considered his career serial killer and not say a bank keeper or something like that, right? That's off the hook. So yeah, he would in fact impersonate authority figures, and all of this action would in fact lead to the kidnapping of the victims. That's off the hook. That is a tragic mess. When it comes to kidnap keepsakes, there was in fact kidnapping keepsakes. So yes, Bundy decapitated 12 of his victims, keeping their severed heads in his apartment for long periods of times. Bundy described himself as the most cold-hearted son of a bitch that you'll ever meet. That's how he described himself. So he knew he was evil, as in he took responsibility by calling himself out. What did he say? Bundy once again described himself as the most cold-hearted son of a bitch you'll ever meet. And his legal defense team, in fact, agreed to that. They didn't shy away from even agreeing to what the man have said about himself. Some people don't even speak that honesty about their own self, and many of them ain't even nowhere near being serial killers or criminals. Helps to own up even in your mess. So escapism. Has Ted Bundy ever escaped? Yes, he has, right? Escapism, and I don't mean escapism as in pushing reality away up out of your face. No, that's just a term. It's a hip terminology. I add color to discovery, I know, with even the terms that I choose to use. So escapee, right? Bundy enjoyed playing. Yes, he enjoyed this whole mindset of him trying to play as a lawyer, his own lawyer to be exact. He did that sort of thing, right? He liked to play games with even law and the law enforcement up underneath that, right? And even bypassing the law, which could be why the love and the play and infatuation with even law, taking law into your own hands. Ted Bundy did that sort of thing. Yes, he did. He, in fact, acted as his own attorney, and I just stated that. During one court incident during recess, he asked the court's permission so that he could visit the courthouse law library. Did you get that? Yes, that was, in fact, an incident on their own end. If that man would have been black, that would have been a no-go. I'm just putting that out there as an honesty. Yes, with that sort of thing, right? That sort of thing is only given to pretty white men with pretty privilege. I'm saying even other white males wouldn't have been allowed to do that sort of thing, and yet because even Ted Bundy himself was pretty, he actually had privilege just enough. Yes, during recess. Court recess. The man was in court, and yet they took the time to take a recess, and with that he asked the court's permission so that he can visit the courthouse law library so he could research his own case. What judge or any attorney or anybody else would allow somebody like that to just go over to the library, the courthouse law library, to research your own case? They allow him to do that. That's what pretty privilege does in American society. Nobody else, white or black, would have been given, yes, a grand finale to do even that. So with the bookcase blocking the view of Bundy himself being seen, he opened a window, jumped from the second story, yes, while spraining his ankle in the process, as in he fell when he jumped out the window. This all in the end led to Bundy escaping and walking through Aspen, and then later hiking Aspen Mountains. The Aspen Mountain after he escaped. He was in fact supposed to go back to court. Pretty privilege in America does these sort of things. It helps people to not go to jail as they're supposed to, not serve as much time as they're supposed to, as well as allow, yes, pretty privilege, and even that. Pretty people in America are in fact escaping a lot of things, and that's how Ted Bundy once again escaped. People don't serve enough time. That's sad in itself. So yeah, he escaped where the courts, in fact, were flawed with that, looking at his looks and allowing him to go to the library of all places. Who does that? So yeah, he was walking through Aspen and then later hiking Aspen Mountain. Once in the midst of the Aspen Mountain, he broke into, yes, a hunting cabin. He took the time to go break into somebody's cabin. He stole some clothes, stole some food, and stole a rifle. That's off the hook. He was a rebel himself, right? Despite all the trouble, Bundy became lost in the forest. 6 days later, he was labeled a fugitive. Yeah, after 2 officers arrested Bundy after being pulled over for weaving. Yes, he was in fact weaving all across the road. Yeah, in a car, in a vehicle, or whatnot. Labeled a fugitive after given the privilege to just go to the library. That is off the hook. So another incident of Bundy escaping occurred in 1977. Yes, it did. After he took a saw, yes, and sawed a hole into the prison ceiling. He in fact had a very detail-oriented creative mind himself. I'm thinking Ted Bundy possibly even had his own shrine in the mind, because to not try to just chill back and be cool in jail and yet take the time to be sawing all up in the ceiling to put a hole there so you can escape is to say even you felt like you was a rise above. Ted Bundy felt he was a rise above. Trust and believe, which is why he kept doing those sort of things. And that's so sad, because you got people that don't even feel enough worth about themselves not to go kill people and be snatching people and all that. No, but just to feel a rise above. That's a good thing, but don't add killing with it. No. But yeah, so with all this sawing a hole in a jail or the prison ceiling, right, this second escape came after Bundy lost 35 pounds, and which I'm sensing maybe did he or did he not purposely lose 35 pounds so that he can make his way escaping out of the prison. Because let me see, he escaped after he lost 35 pounds. I'm sure even the guards and all the rest was on lookout, or maybe not, because even some people go to jail, go to prison, and then don't want to be there, and then they be starving themselves in the process because they sick that they even there, right? I'm guessing somebody should have recognized even that, the weight loss on his end, or maybe they didn't or something, right? But that's one of the things that helped him escape, I'm guessing and believing. Nobody told me this, but I can just analyze and pull apart with even my teeth on my own end to his, the grave aspect, right? Despite he wasn't dead when this took place, he just escaped. Because see, look, to lose 35 pounds is to know it's going to be more easy and more likely for you to escape in the first place after you done cut a hole up in the ceiling, yes, inside of a prison. You're going to be able to climb your way through and up and out, which could be, yes, why he lost that 35 pounds. Okay, so in this second escape incident, or purpose incident, or they don't even go together and yet they will work together, right? In order to cover his whereabouts after he escaped the jail cell in which he was in, or wherever he was in that he escaped, in order to cover his whereabouts, he piled books and files underneath a blanket to make all appear as if the layout in the bed was his body. That's slick in itself. Look at his smile. That's off the hook. He was in fact cute. I said that earlier, right? But yeah, the stuff, the measures that people take in order to get off and get over, right? To pile some books and some files underneath a blanket to make it appear as if you are there and yet you're not. That's scheme in itself. Okay, so around the time of his prison escape, that second one to be exact, he killed a 21-year-old by the name of Bowman. Margaret Bowman. Female, yes. No male has a name of Margaret. That was her name. He severely injured 4 other women in the process. It took police weeks for Bundy to be caught during and after that. ordeal. The strangeness of a Bundy. So, one of his other odd behaviors, yes, his last note was one of those sort of things. As in a Christmas card. His last note, in fact, included a Christmas card. Yes, it did. So, 1 month and 4 days before he was executed by electric chair, 2 Christmas cards signed by Bundy himself went for sale. Yes, at almost $5,000. Close enough. Kind of 1 digit off. But yes, let's just say 5,000. Not precise. 4,900. Can I get 100, 300, 400, 500? That ain't bingo. No, that's an auction. Just to jack up the price on that to make it more valuable from my end to even on his end and even in the grave. Because that sort of thing, is it or is it not being sold and told today? That last Christmas card he signed. Well, 2, right? 4,900. 49. Okay. One of the cards says, God bless you. That's that strange and odd. Yes, with that, the finale. One of the cards, in fact, Bundy signed before he got electrocuted and placed, yes, in the hole with the burial with his own end, right? One of the cards says, God bless you. Peace, Ted. What? So yes, Bundy, in fact, I stated this in my opening. Bundy died in the electric chair at Rareford Prison in Stark, Florida on January 24th, 1989. What? Electric chair? I might need to dive much more deep pertaining to a channel, as in looking up the research about the electric chair, as in even worse, needed today. Crime scene and all the mess and the takeaway where people, young lives like these women's lives have been taken away. Should let people just be walking in that. You shouldn't. But yeah, I think that's all for now to be said. What do you think about Ted Bundy, the man himself? Never allow pretty to bypass your eyes and your mind, because something more could in fact be up underneath that. Pretty people. Didn't I say that about Evil Gonzalez in my last video, or one of my other videos, where that man killed that homeless man, and yet he's only gonna serve 10 years just because he's pretty? And yet a homeless man was forced to die, and yet the homeless man did nothing wrong. There's all type of victims out here. That is not helps to stay headstrong, is what I'm trying to say with that, because that's not right. But the evil chair, in fact, needs to be there, and to be the example is for me to say. So recommended for you, Homicide Hunter. Shouts out to Lieutenant Joe Kenda. What even that? The abstract. Add to favorites by clicking here. Shouts out to Paula. Yes, Paula. Evil Lives Here. Fatal Vows. Blood Relatives. Twisted. Red Rum. Like The Shining. American Monster. The Perfect Murder. Someone You Thought You Knew. Unlock episodes. To Catch a Killer. Season 1, Episode 1. You can in fact click this right here. Yes, to add to watch later. Twisted Sisters. Season 1, Episode 1. Blood Runs Code. Season 1, Episode 1. What Lies Beneath. That too is Season 1, Episode 1. Twisted. Season 7, Episode 3. You can add to watch later or play right here for a preview. Murder by Numbers. Season 2, Episode 3. The Last Defense. Season 1, Episode 1. Expiring in 17 days. The Devil Speaks. Deadline. Crime with Tamron Hall. We got On Last Night. Fatal Vows. To click here is to in fact sign in with your provider of your TV, whoever you go through for that sort of thing, as in who you're gonna watch and you're given opportunity when you pay and all that other stuff, you would in fact provide that right here. When you click this, you're going to sign in, not through them, but it's going to ask for who's your provider. So Most Evil Ranked, season 1, episode 10. ID Go original series. Pamela Smart, The Missing Pieces. I spoke about that before. Schedule preview. What is live right now? What is airing live right now, you ask? Your worst nightmare. To want to figure out and know what is going on live as we speak is yes, to look up here in the far left corner. Schedule preview, crime feed news. To click on anywhere within here is to in fact, and not here, no. Click on here is going to in fact redirect you over to crime feed or crime feed. Yes, Discovery's own crime feed. Thecrimefeed.com is where you're going to in fact go once you click that sort of thing. Full of news, yes, and all type of corruption that's going on here in society. To want to be a member of the newsletter is to type in your email address and then click next, and you will in fact, yes, have access to that, the newsletter. So I think that's all to be said for now. We are now coming to a close. As in there's a park on that. And yet no swing sets involved. What do you think? I asked that question, I'm asking again. What do you think? Sense and believe about Ted Bundy. Did he deserve to die by ways of the electric chair? Or do you think he still should be roaming amongst us? Because as I stated in the opening of my video, there's in fact Ted Bundy fans that feel that he shouldn't have died, and they make every single excuse of why he shouldn't just because he was pretty. So I want you, the viewer, to tell me about that sort of thing. What you think, Phil? Leave it in the comment section. I'm gone.